Hey everybody, welcome back to One Seed, One World. Doing some more planting today, but I also wanted to give you an update on some of the wintertime growing experiments that I was doing with the tomatoes. So here's one here. Hopefully it comes up on the camera. I got another one over here. Brought them out for the first time today to get them some real wind and sun, since they've been in the basement since December 11th when I first planted them. But they are finally starting to put on some little tomatoes. These are two Dr. Weechee yellow tomatoes, or two Dr. Weechee yellow tomato plants that I've got going on here, which are indeterminate, so they will just keep growing. So I want to try to get them used to being outside. I do have them in buckets, and I will keep them in buckets, but I'll just kind of put up some more trellising for them. We got some tomatoes going on. It's pretty windy out here today, so I hope the wind isn't picking up too much on the mic. But besides all the tomato plants, also got some peppers going on. This was the other wintertime growing experiment, and we've got some poblanos and shishitos here, and we even have one poblano coming on and a couple of shishitos. Yeah, there's a shishito there. And I don't know if you can kind of see the poblano. I can see it on the... Hey, you guys see it there on the camera? Yeah, see it in there? All right. There's a... Oh, hi, Alice. Coming to see what's going on? Alice came. Alice. What doing? Okay, and then the final thing left from the wintertime growing experiment are my potatoes that I started from seed from the potato berries last year. And some of them are looking pretty sickly. As you can see here, they didn't all do so great. Probably because I didn't water them very well when they were in the basement. And they also had poor lighting down there. But also have some pretty long vines going on, and I've been hardening them off for, I don't know, 2 or 3 days now, and at this point I'm just going to put them out in the ground because today I'm planting some potatoes. I've got some blue potatoes that I got from my friend Greg, that I am also involved in another market garden project with, that will probably be some future episodes, starting a market garden from scratch, but we'll get back to that on future episodes. Anyway, so I got some blue potatoes from Greg. I've got some russet potatoes left over from the grocery store that are sprouting that I'm going to put in the ground. And then I'm also going to try these that I started from direct seed and see what kind of potato crop we get this year. So, you know, stay tuned and stick around and see how things turn out. Okay, so this is the area last year that I had my pitiful flax bed, that if you have been following the channel would have seen the struggles I had with the flax last year. But I have refreshed this bed and put in some new dirt and compost, and now this is gonna be the potato area this year, and I'm gonna move my flax to a smaller bed. So today we're gonna get some of these potatoes in here, the blues that I was talking about. I don't know how good they are anymore because I've kind of been holding on to them for a couple of weeks, and they were already 2 or 3 weeks old at that point. So we'll see if they even sprout. The seedlings that I showed you, and then the russet potatoes is what we're going to put in. I'm going to make a couple of rows with an old family tool. I've got an old row maker that my dad used even before I was born. It may have even been one of my grandparents. I don't know. There's been a lot of flipping around with garden tools between grandparents, great-grandparents, and my parents over the years, and different people claiming that they were theirs. So I don't know whose is whose, but I ended up with the row maker. So that's what we're going to use for the potatoes today. So this is the old row maker. I love this thing. And the fact that it's been in my family for so many years. I remember my dad using this. We had two of them actually. I don't know whatever happened to the other one. But I love the fact that it's so old school. I think what I'll probably need to do is sand this down and maybe stain the wood handles, because it's starting to get kind of scruffy. And the wheels kind of a little bit jacked up, you know, but my dad used this when I was a little kid in the gardens that we grew, and I know that he had this before I was even born. Like I said, it may have even been my grandfather's or great-grandfather's. I'm not really sure where it originated from, but I know that it's been part of our gardening tradition as long as I can remember. So the fact that I am now using it to still plant potatoes and the few things that I still do in the ground. Most of my stuff, you know, now is raised beds, but I do some things in the ground, and whenever I can, I get this old bad boy out and make some rows. It's pretty sweet. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna start off with are the blue potatoes. These are looking a little rough. You can see there's a little bit of almost like mold on them. I'm not sure how great they are, but they do have some eyes on them that are starting to sprout a little bit. So we'll see. I mean, these were free, and I'm gonna stick, you know, these pieces in the ground, and we're gonna see if any of them sprout. And that will be my first set of potatoes I'm gonna be putting in. And I'm just putting the pieces, I don't know, maybe 8 inches apart or so. And then if they grow, then I'll also be hilling up around them. Because the vines will get long, and the more that you can hill up around your potatoes, get the dirt up around the vines, will continue to put off more tubers, is what the idea is. All right, so now that the blues are in, I'm gonna use some of these store-bought russet potatoes. Now, generally when you are planting your potatoes, you'll, you know, cut them in sections like the blue ones that I had just planted, so that you have like 1 or 2 eyes per section, and that lets you kind of expand your crop, and they will put off all new plants off of that. But for these, I'm not gonna cut them down since these are just some store-bought ones, and it seems like most of the sprouts are all on one end. So I'm just gonna kind of tuck them in here and see what these do. One thing I'm finding, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but with a lot of the store-bought potatoes recently, they all seem to be green. And I don't think those are good eating when they're green. You know, you don't want to eat green potatoes. But we'll buy russets, they look a little brown, and when you take them home and you wash them off and they're completely green, I don't think they were grown right. But maybe they can grow us some new plants that we can properly grow and protect so that we don't end up with green potatoes. So I just had a few of those, and we'll add that as another thing and see what comes out of those. Okay, so now the final batch is going to be these ones that I started from seed. And some are pretty awful looking, and other ones look pretty good. And so these, I don't know how they're gonna come out, because if you watched any of my potato berry saving videos and whatnot, and planting these from seed, I have a couple videos on these. But this was a whole test with saving my potato berries from last year. So unlike all the potatoes that I just planted, which will be clones of the parent, these will not be a clone, because these are a mixed pollinated section of the different types of potatoes that I planted last year that then produced berries. I saved the seeds, grew the seeds over the winter. I planted them way too early, which is why they look so rough. Some of them I gave away, and then some of them I saved. And I mean, look how long some of these things are. So we'll see how these do. I'm gonna have to hill up around these probably much earlier. Plus, I'll probably have to put some row cover over these because we have a couple cold nights coming up this weekend before it gets warm again. A couple nights in the 30s. So I'm gonna put some row cover over these just to make sure that they don't get frostbitten, and we'll see what happens. Also, like some of these I've got more than one plant in, and I'm just kind of taking the whole batch and planting it all together, and we'll see what happens. But look, check this out. They already got little potatoes. Little tubers started in there. Pretty cool, huh? That started from seed in the basement. Been growing all winter down there. So now we're gonna find out if they can survive this mess. And what I'm gonna do is take these vines and kind of just tuck them all in and just leave like a top out for now. And then as time goes on, if they do okay and they grow, then I'll continue to heap up more dirt or straw around them so that they can maybe put off a good batch of potatoes. These are crazy long. I'm like, there's another little potato in there. I'm just gonna curl this around. That. I mean, just like that, they look kind of nice. So hopefully they survive and stay that way. Because I didn't do a whole lot of hardening off for them, just 2 or 3 days. So this might be kind of tough on them. So we'll see what happens. But I'll water these when I'm all done. And then we're also supposed to get rain tomorrow, which is what's bringing in the cool weather. So that should help as well. All right, so I'm gonna get the rest of these in, and then we'll do a wrap up. Yeah, that worked. Okay, so the potato row cover isn't very pretty, but it should be efficient enough to keep any frost out if we get any over the weekend, just because it's supposed to get down into like high 30s Fahrenheit, like 37, 38, I think are the coldest nights. Most of our evenings, nights are supposed to be more like 40s, 50s. There's just a couple of nights I'm concerned about. So that's why I put the row cover on. I'll probably leave that on just to protect those plants that have the vines that have already come up out of the ground. Probably till next Tuesday, because after that the forecast shows it's supposed to be 50s and 60s at night, 70s, even close to 80 during the day. So pretty warm April so far, but we'll see how this all goes. These are kind of all experiments. I mean, the blue potatoes have never grown before. They were given to me and they're pretty shriveled up and looking a little rough, so I don't know if they will sprout or not. And then we've got the grocery store potatoes that may or may not give us something. And then we've got my seed potatoes, or my seedlings that were grown from seed. And those are the vines that I now have up. A lot of those are looking pretty rough. They've gone through a lot. They've survived so far, the ones that I've kept. So we'll see how this transplanting goes. But that is the update on my winter growing as well as planting potatoes today. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. But whatever's going on in your neck of the woods, I hope it's working out fantastic for you and that you're getting out and getting some early planting done if you're able to in your growing zone. And I just hope that you have a fantastic 2023 growing season. Thanks for hanging out again with me today, and we will see you again soon. Have a great day. Namaste.